everyone, I'm Jolina Okazaki with News West 9 Sunrise, and thank you for joining me with Downtown Odessa once again for another painting segment. Big shout out to Downtown Odessa for holding these really fun classes. I really enjoy painting, and I hope you enjoy painting too. So thank you so much for joining us today. If you have any plans for Memorial Day weekend, or maybe you're staying inside, I hope you stay safe. And this is a really great activity if you plan on staying for the weekend, and just something that's very easy for the kids. I will try to be as simple and easy as possible, so this is going to be a little easy to follow, but I hope you enjoy. And grab your paintbrushes, grab your canvases, and let's get started.
So because we are painting some flowers today, we are going to use the green. But if you don't have any green, it's really easy to make. You want to use your primary colors, that's blue and yellow. So once you get that out of your little tub here, you can take that and put it on your palette. And when you do that, you want to put an equal amount of yellow and an equal amount of blue. So what you're going to do is you're going to get your brush and you're just going to swirl the color around, and eventually you will get a nice green color.
Okay, so the first step I'm going to do is I'm going to take my yellow and I'm going to use this as the background. So I'm gonna just use the little flat brush that you have, and you're just gonna start painting, okay? So you can add a couple coats if you want, but I'm just gonna cover the whole canvas. Sometimes if you feel like it's too thin, you can wait till it dries and then go back once again. So I'm just gonna dab all that on there.
And you just want to continue until you cover the entire canvas, and before you start adding any more colors, you want to make sure that it is fully dry. Now if you have a hair dryer, this is a nice painting hack that I like to do if I just want to speed up the drying process, but you just hold a blow dryer over your painting and that will allow it to dry faster.
Every time you use a different color, you want to wash it in your water cup to get rid of all the excess paint and all the paint that you had before. Okay, so the next step is creating the stems of the flower. So you want to go ahead and grab your green, and then using the flat brush, I'm using the same brush, I'm just going to go and create a line, and I'm going to do 3 stems. So I think my main focus is going to be on this side of the canvas, and I'm just going to go down. I'm going to do another stem right here. And just kind of let them cross. You can do your stems and place them however you want, but you ultimately want to put them in kind of close together. So I think I'm going to go ahead and do another one right here, and I'm also going to have it intersect. I'm going to go ahead and fill this in using some of the excess because I still have more of that green paint on here. So I'm going to add some leaves, and I'm going to use the same brush, just using the little flat brush. I'm just going to add a little line right here. You can add this wherever you want. And this is going to be where my leaf is. So kind of like think of it as like an eyeball shape, but just very thin, like this. Sometimes you can just do a leaf that just kind of is just a line. You don't have to add too much detail to it. And you can add as many as you want. You don't have to do the same thing I'm doing. Okay, now it's time for the flowers. So I'm gonna use both the red and pink just to add a little bit of highlight, a little bit of shadow. The main color I'm gonna focus on is the red, and I'm going to use the pointed brush, so not the flat brush, but the one that's a little pointed like that. I'm gonna pick my center here. That's where the middle part of the flower is gonna be. And then I'm just gonna go ahead and keep adding these petals. You're really just creating an eye looking shape.
If you feel that the shape is too complicated, you could just do circles instead, kind of like a petunia, or you could also do rose shapes as well. So you're just going to continue that pattern as you go around.
So once I have this outline in, I'm going to go ahead and paint the inside. So now that I'm done with that, I'm gonna do the same thing and apply it here.
So start with a circle, then you're gonna start adding some of these petals here and just keep going around until you have finished outlining the circle.
So So using a little bit of the pink like this, I'm gonna go in here and I'm gonna add these strokes just very lightly. It's very subtle, but what I'm kind of doing here is I'm kind of using this as a highlight. So just going on the tips of each petal. Reason why I do it is I just don't really want the entire flower to be just bright red. You can if you'd like, if that's easier for you.
And like I said, this is something that you can just completely skip if you don't want to add it, but I'm just going to do it to create more value. So I'm just going to go around each petal and kind of brush on some of this pink here. And once I do that, I'm going to move on to the next flower and I'm going to continue doing that process.
So I'm going to be a little extra here and I'm going to go with the white. Okay, you're not necessarily painting like a full color. You're just brushing some of the highlights on there.
So one of the things that I always tell people is even if you have a limited number of colors, that you can get a little creative, you know, mix and match some of these colors. Use the white whenever you need to create some of the lighter pink, or maybe you can add some to some of those greens there. And basically what I'm doing here is I'm not really applying a lot of pressure as I'm brushing on some of this white paint. It's really just to add some of the values. If you don't know what values mean, it basically means in the art world that you're referring to something with different shadows and different highlights. So that's why you're adding some of these, because this is supposed to be the light hitting some of these petals. So just continue that until you're finished.
So on this part, I'm just adding a little bit of a highlight of this white paint going downward. You don't have to do it. This is just to kind of add some definition to some of these petals right here. I kind of want to exaggerate this middle part right here. So I'm going to create a big circle for the center.
And I'm just using the yellow paint for this, and I'm just kind of going around with my pointed brush to enlarge it. Now using the pointed brush still, after you wash it, you're going to get some of the black paint and then go around the petals. And this kind of creates a nice little contrast. I always notice a lot of pop artists do this technique just to kind of make everything pop out. But you're just going to do that. Make sure you just do the outline. You don't necessarily have to go all the way down the middle. And you're going to continue that until you're finished. And once I'm done doing the petals, I'm going to lightly dip back in the black paint and I'm just going to do the outline on the stems. So I'm not really applying a lot of pressure. I'm just kind of dragging it along the green here, and I'm going to keep doing that and finish the rest for all the other stems. So now I'm going to put my black outline around the center of the flower. Yes, I Googled it. I was trying to figure out what this was called. It's called the pistil. You know, it's been a while since I did biology in high school. But anyway, so here you go. And then add this black line going upwards from the pistil, or the center part of your flower. And this kind of accentuates some of the petals so it doesn't look too flat. So keep doing that and finish the rest.
So on this part, this is where I'm going to do my jar. So think of like an oval. Okay, so that's what you're going to do here. I like this part where it kind of intersects where all the stems are. So you're going to draw, I'm going to go behind that. Okay, so that's going to be the top of my jar. Then I'm going to go down very slightly, maybe like ½ centimeter or so, 2 little lines on each side, and then I'm going to connect this line like that. Now I'm going to make my jar by making another little line about 1 centimeter from the bottom of this, and I'm going to just start drawing downwards. And you want to make sure you have all your stems in, okay? So this should be where everything kind of meets. And I'm going to connect where these 2 lines meet. Okay, so that should be a good outline of where your jar is. Okay, now I'm gonna load up my little pointed brush with the black, and I am going to lightly draw. I'm gonna draw on top of where my jar is with the pencil. Usually when you do a little practice with maybe on another sheet of paper, it'll help.
But I'm just really taking my time with this. I'm gonna finish outlining over the pencil, and you kind of see it come to life. I always recommend using a pencil if you're still not sure. That way you can easily erase it.
So you should still have some of that blue, and I'm gonna paint a little bit using the white so I get this really light blue. And the thing that I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna add this light blue shade as I'm going across the jar, okay? And I'm gonna keep going. Doesn't have to be perfect.
So usually when you look at most jars, they kind of have this light bluish tint. So that's why I'm kind of adding some of these patches. So I'm not exactly painting everything fully, just adding some patches here and there. And I might have to go over some of the black later again. So now that I'm using the white paint, I'm going to add this white line down the side. Sometimes when you're looking at a jar, you kind of see this reflection from the light. So that's why you're going to add some of these white patches right on top of the blue, but don't cover the blue completely. You just want it enough to where it peaks on top.
Okay, so if you want to add a little bit more oomph to your background, this is where I can get a little messy on this part. So I'm going to get some of the white or the yellow and smear it right here. Just on this part, nothing like on the other part as well.
So now I'm dipping my paint in a little bit of the red, and I'm starting to kind of blend in with the yellow background. What's really happening is because the yellow paint is still wet, it's turning this red color into this nice orange. So you kind of have this little gradient happening. And try not to overthink, just do these strokes that go up and down. It doesn't have to blend in, but while the paint is still wet, you'll start to see this nice pop of color. And I'm just more focused towards the lower left side. And that is a wrap. Hope you guys enjoyed this painting class. Big shout out to Downtown Odessa once again for allowing me to paint with you. If you started this and maybe you want to show it off, be sure to tag Downtown Odessa and post it on the Downtown Odessa Facebook page. Once again, hope you guys enjoy and have a safe Memorial Day weekend.